Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Small Business Support Group. It is Tuesday. It is midday in the UK. And we're here to talk about, I don't know what our subjects are nowadays, because it's about business, obviously. That's what we're here for. But also, we talk about everything else, life, the universe, and everything, as Douglas Adams used to say. Right, we've now got, who we got? We've got Grant in the house. Who we got? We've got Maz. Mark's in. Everybody's in today. Full complement. All right, don't forget, if you want to drop us a question, please try and use our main Facebook page, the Small Business Support Group. You can obviously drop questions to whoever's watch party you're watching, but they will have to relate them to the rest of the group. Whereas if you go to the Small Business Support Group page, put your question in the comments, or whatever you want to say in the comments, it can come up on screen. That's so good. Right, Maz, good morning to you. Do you want to kick things off this morning?
Yeah, good morning to our viewers and listeners. So, there's nothing like a global pandemic to make one step back and rethink life. I think over the last 7 weeks, connecting to my purpose has galvanized my courage on the harder days, when fears have dialed up and overwhelmingness crept in. You know, rituals that have helped me get back on course have enabled me to refocus my energy in ways that have served me and hopefully others as well. You know, there's all this talk about going back, which is great. And I know that we all sing off the same hymn where we've said that's amazing, you know, but what I'd like to talk about today is how to live purposefully. You know, living purposefully requires constantly resetting our attention on the things that matter most. Yet, ironically enough, things that matter most are rarely things at all. You know, rather, they're the values upon which we want to build our lives. They're the attributes of the person that we aspire to be. They're the mark that in our heart of hearts we feel most called to make. So, I ask our viewers to think about, what is your why, your reason for doing what you do. And it's so important defining your why, especially during these hard times when your business has been tested. You've been tested as a person. Passion and purpose could not be more important to living a full, vibrant life. We absolutely, I think, need a reason to wake up every day, get out of bed, and make some magic happen. This is where your why comes into play. Your why is what leads you through difficult times, hardships, and challenging emotions. It is so crucial to our existence. And I suppose this message is for those who feel that during this lockdown, you know, that they've lost the why, they've taken a step back or lost their purpose. Nothing gives a person inner wholeness and peace like a distinct understanding of where they are going. I think to remember, fulfillment is a right and it's not a privilege. Finding fulfillment in life starts with understanding exactly why you do what you do. And once you understand that, you'll be able to clearly articulate what makes you feel fulfilled and to be better. Understand what drives your behavior when you're at your natural best. When you can do that, you'll have a point of reference for everything you do going forward. You'll be able to make more intentional choices for your business, your career, and your life. You'll be able to inspire others to buy from you, work with you, and join your cause. Remember, the purpose of life is a life of purpose. And I always think this, in order to get somewhere, you need to define your end goal. And that is essential. And the sooner you define it, the clearer everything else will become. You know, a life without purpose is like a life without destination. I've gone back to my bookshelf at home and I've looked at books that I've read in the past that have really made me question myself, my life, and my goals. And one of the books is Man's Search for Meaning. In the 1940s, Viktor Frankl was held prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp. With all the agony and brutality, what kept Viktor Frankl from giving up his relentless fight for his life was purpose. He found meaning in his struggle, and that's what gave him the power to push forward through unimaginable pain. And there's a quote by Victor which nicely sums up his philosophy and how people were able to survive the camps without losing the will to live. In this book, Man's Search for Meaning, Victor says, those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow. And once you have defined your aims and what you want, it's easier to deal with doubts. Easier not to get distracted from what is important. Keep your focus and keep moving. Existence is a strange bargain, guys. Life owes us little, and we owe it everything.
I think our wife buys a bit wobbly.
No better feeling than suddenly becoming clear on those aha moments, when they come. The only journey is the one within. Clarity of purpose challenges you to do better and to commit to actions that get you closer to the one thing that you really want in life. With clarity, you pull together resources, ideas, and people for a common cause. And without it, there is a wasted effort. And I suppose even chaos. Getting clear about what you want is a process of trial and error. Try something, guys. Then ask yourself, do I like this? Yes? No? Get a journal and start putting down your feelings, thoughts, actions, and behaviors. Use what you write as a way to pinpoint areas you're constantly exploring. Evaluate your results constantly. What actions, thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors are you attracted to the most? The key is to do more of what you enjoy and brings out the very best in you. And you will clarify what it is that you want to do, be, and have in life. Napoleon Hill once said, there is one quality that one must possess to win, and that is the definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. In order to get what you want, you have to choose one direction and move towards it, constantly improving over a prolonged period of time. Maximum speed and output requires a precise framework. For me, the lockdown came into place, and I've said this before, I was fearful. As I thought, how would I cope? No gym. Fitness plays a huge part in my life, and it's helped me in my really dark times. Kids at home full time, how would I manage my business? The list goes on. But I use this time to just take a pause to get to know myself better. I use the privilege, and I say this is a privilege because other countries didn't have this, of being able to go out once a day to exercise and connect with my mind and my body and think actually what's important to me. After my run, I take a few minutes to sit on the bench in the park and close my eyes. And while sitting in silence, I've learned that we can hear and see things we otherwise wouldn't. And our desires become few and simple. We find our inner voice of contentment and realize that we're already everything we need to be. Silence helps us brings us back to a place of rest and clarity within, away from the noise of the world. And you know what? I've guarded this space in my daily schedule, and it's been more important than anything I do, because it's from there that I found my strength, purpose, and self-composure to be a better person for myself and for others. And on that note, I'd like to thank Matt today for having this platform, which has helped anchor my day. Thank Mark, who connects people, for taking network onto a digital platform where I was able to connect and grow. And Grant for running webinars, which assisted with my self-development. So thanks, guys.
Well, thank you very much, Maz. That was lovely. I unfortunately dropped out halfway through that because my Wi-Fi went down. So that's why I suddenly appeared back on screen halfway through. But I did get the gist of that, and that was another epic talk by Maz. I think I think we have to call them epic talks. I think because it is, as I say every day, you do sit down and think about exactly what you say, and does put us into the shade really of how we bring topics to this forum. But thanks again, Naz. That was great. So does anybody want to pick up on any bits on that, or does Mark? Do you want to jump in?
I just want to say, Maz, you're absolutely right. You're focusing on you and understanding your purpose is what we all have the opportunity to do right now. We become so clouded sometimes with the everyday understandings and struggles, if you like, of life, especially before the lockdown. It was so busy, and people felt that time was just passing them by. And now I feel people are sitting there thinking time is standing still a little bit, but it's allowing you time to reflect and work out what is your sense of purpose and what is your journey and what it looks like and where you're going to go to the end.
Grant, do you want to follow up on that a little bit? It's always stunning when Maz talks. It's just like you have to get your brain to compute everything.
There's a few things that she said that I think are really worth elaborating on, because you started off by talking about the why, your why, and in business, finding your why, particularly for an entrepreneur, is really, really key, because the Viktor Frankl thing about talking about the horrific things that he saw, and the people that had their why were able to put up with anything, and that's an extremely exaggerated example of why a why is so powerful. I do 2 webinars consistently a week at the moment. I've got one tonight, and I talk about why all the time, because when you're in business, your why is what drives you. It's what lifts you in your low times. It's remembering your why that really helps you to achieve great things. And the feedback that I've been getting from a lot of people who have been sort of really at sea during the lockdown, they've kind of lost their way. A lot of people have talked about apathy and lockdown lethargy, where they're just not getting much done, and they're feeling, it's easy to get sucked into watching TV or, whatever it might be that takes them off track to actually taking action to achieve something during the lockdown. And of course, during this lockdown, if we've had time on our hands, and let's face it, most of us have, that time is best spent taking action to help us. And if those help ourselves, and if those things that we do help ourselves are driven by our why, then we're going to achieve so much more. Now we're on the small business support group here, so we're talking to small business owners. Every small business owner should have a why that drives them. The why is what is it that got you to start the business in the first place? What got you so excited and enthusiastic that you took that leap of faith to start a business? Do you remember how that felt, or have you lost your way? Do you remember the excitement and enthusiasm of those early startup days? Are you still in that place? If you haven't, can you find it again? Can you remember the drivers that took you to that point? And one of the ways that I do that, and when I'm teaching, the people that I mentor, is to think about your core values. Now, everybody has inner beliefs, whether they've actually taken the trouble to define them or not, that are unique to them. And we call these your core values. And although you would think that we all share, as humans, similar core values, be amazed at how when you start to get to specifics, how different things motivate different people. And so I help entrepreneurs draw out their core values, actually take the time to write them down, and then use them to help them remind themselves why it is they do what they do, and to re-engage with those emotions, those emotional drivers that help them to actually start business in the first place. and then lean on those core values to help them make decisions and help them move forward. And blimey, over the last few weeks, they've never been more important. In fact, one of the core values for BLAM is embrace the beauty of technology. It's been a core value for 6 years, five and a half years now. My God, I've been repeating that one a lot. we've been saying that one over and over again. When we first started doing this, when the internet was struggling, everybody was embracing the beauty of technology was something we had to do all the time. But these core values, I reflect them and I use them because they give you strength, and they just remind you, why you did it in the first place. Because I think for a lot of people in the last few weeks, they may have been asking questions of themselves as to is it really worth it? Is it really worth being in business? Is it just too hard with the lockdown that we've gone through? And remembering your why can really help. If anybody wants to do any further research on this, there's two people that I would recommend that you look up. Simon Sinek is famous. You go on YouTube, there's loads of stuff about Simon Sinek and how he defines people's why, and he inspired me a lot when I first started looking into all this. And then the other guy is Tony Hsieh. Now he's the CEO of a company called Zappos. And Zappos were bought out by Amazon a few years ago, but they were the first super successful online shoe company. And their whole company culture is defined by their core values. And there's a book called Delivering Happiness that Tony Hsieh wrote that was a hugely influential book for me in my business career. And I would recommend anybody who is struggling with their why, who is perhaps looking for the motivation in their business and figuring out, or they're lacking in that, they've got lockdown lethargy. Check out Simon Sinek. Check out Tony Hsieh. Define your core values. Get your core values down on paper. Get them on your vision board. Get them somewhere you can see them on a regular basis. If anybody wants to see what mine are, if you go to blam.online, you'll see my core values are on the website on a rotator. And they are hugely inspiring, motivational. And I, by the way, never take on a member of staff unless they can tell me what the core values are. And I make that part of the requirements for the interview process, which is, I think, really key, because if they understand the core values and they resonate with them, then they're going to be so much more part of the team.
Excellent. Is that because obviously we went over to you there, Grant, on the back of what Maz was saying. Is that covering the bit that you were about the bouncing back, or do you want to go reflect back on that now, or is that so I think that I mean what we're pushing at the moment, and what I'm hugely passionate about is getting that mojo back, because like I say, a lot of people that I've spoken to who are in businesses that have found it really difficult to do trade at all have hit this brick wall in their own motivation and their own sort of state of mind. Maz has talked about, we've all been through, this process of thinking, what's it all for? Is it really worth it? What we're going to do afterwards? When are we going to be able to do it? I am absolutely so motivated at the moment, so passionate to try and inspire other people to say, look, we've been given the first glimmer of hope, that this whole situation is slowly starting to come to an end. We're still not sure exactly on how that's going to look or when it's going to happen, but we know that we are 100% going to come out of this. And we have to start thinking about bouncing back. We have to start making plans and working towards a business environment that is getting back to the new normal. I'm desperate for people to just start taking action and to stop hunkering down, to stop saying, "I'll just wait and see," to stop moaning about it, stop complaining, to stop blaming the government, stop blaming this. It's all down to you guys. You are the master of your own destiny. Nobody's going to do it for you. And together as a business community, we have got to make this happen. It is in our hands. The government will do what they will do,
but we've got to use our own creativity. Boris saying common sense. Common sense to me is, let's get back to business. Let's find a way. Stop moaning about it and get on with it. And the way that we can do that, the way that we can bounce back, goes back to my former point. If you've got the motivation, if you've got your why sorted, if you've got inspiration, if you've got the desire to actually go and do it, you will feel motivated and passionate about getting back to business. And we're going to need it. We've got to kickstart this economy again. We've got to get people trading. We've got to get people back to work. However that might look, it's going to be different. You know, we're going to use social distancing. We're going to be super sanitized. We're going to do everything else, but we can creatively use our common sense to make it happen. So just no more moaning, guys. No more sitting on our hands. No more waiting. You know, for the Mark goes on about it, and I feel, you know, the whole thing about, you know, people that are furloughed now don't want to go back to work, or they've had a great time of it. We have got to work harder than ever. We have got to work harder than ever to get back to where we need to be. And for those of you that are just feeling lazy about it, get off your arses. Let's start making this happen. We've all got to come together.
Look at me, I'm standing up.
Thank God someone said it. Mark, I can feel, Mark, that you want to come on back on that now. What do you want to say?
I did my, as you know, I'm trying to do the Catch to 5K. So it was my week 3, third run. And as I was coming down, and I was listening, as you say, to yesterday's conversation, contributing to what everyone said, but obviously what Boris had said, and everyone going, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's ridiculous. This isn't right. He's got no plan. Well, do you know what? Stage 1 is for most entrepreneurs. I'm not saying Boris is an entrepreneur, but for entrepreneurs, we know that stage 1 doesn't look like stage 10. And that's where we are right now. He's just put the gauntlet down and said, look, we're going to be opening for business, and we need to stay safe, but we need to stay vigilant. And that is what it's about, isn't it? It's about us is just going for it and using our common sense. We already know, you know, the how to protect ourselves to a point with coronavirus. Wash your hands, you know, wear some sort of protection, cover your mouths, and keep your distance from people. But yet there are so many people going, oh, I don't want to give it a go, don't want to give it a go. And we're waiting, like Grant says, we're just waiting for someone to say, it's okay now to come out. It's okay now to look outside and see what's going on. Now, I'm Jewish descent. Yeah, if the Jews back then said, let's wait to find out what happened, we wouldn't be as strong as we are today, because in the war, in the crisis that was the Nazi concentration camps, the Jews and those who survived were so determined to come out of this because they felt the freedom that this all would come to an end one day. You know, it may not have felt it at the time, but they had that belief that we could not continue this way. And that's what businesses need to do right now. They need to say, look, you know, we're going to get out of this. We're going to move forward, and we're going to have that grit and determination. People have said, like, you know, Boris likened him to Churchill. He's talking about the war. We are on a war footing. Doesn't matter which way you look at it. Not with any nation, but with a disease we do not understand. But just like our forefathers, just like our grandparents in the war, they did not sit idly on their hands. They got off and got up, as Grant says, off their bottoms, and they did something about it. And that's what we're being asked to do now. Now, if you're sitting on furlough and you're singing this up like, well, it's not it's not great to go back to work because it's not going to be safe. More for you, because yes, we are looking for safety. We are looking to make sure no one gets this disease, but at the same time, we have no answers for it. And if we allow ourselves this whole situation where we're sitting back and letting France, Italy, Spain, Germany, China all get their economies back on track, we're going to be a third world nation.
Oh, that was a strong one. My point for today is that I won't go on the subjects that you've done, all of you, because I think you've put that quite eloquently across, and bouncing back and getting on with it. But I was looking at the news. I've been busy with Grant's motivation and pushing the business forward. But I've been looking briefly this morning at just a snapshot of where we are on the news, and that's why I put news behind the news, even though these are actual news subjects. But I don't think I've ever seen a variant, not variant, is that not the word, but a varied news headline day than what's happening today. And I just made some brief notes of just the headlines that we're actually getting. And the first one is that Wuhan are testing 11 million residents in the next 7 days for the virus. 11 million. We're struggling to do 100,000. They're doing 11 million tests in the next 7 days, just so they know where the city is, which I think that's just outstanding. Then you flick across the next one, and they're talking about a nightclub in Seoul, which unfortunately one person went in there with the coronavirus and affected 100 people. Just one person in a nightclub affected 100 people. Then there's the Ryanair story that's hopefully they're all going to start flying again on the 1st of July, where they're getting 40% of their flights back together. But if you want to go to the toilet, you're going to have to put your hand up. You can't just stand up and go to the toilet. How random is that? And then the final one, which is a beautiful one, that in India, the CO2 emissions have fallen for the first time in decades. I mean, this whole virus is weird, and it's caused lots of arguments and complications and all that. But to get such a varied headline for one single day, you'd probably, a few months back, you would have gone, well, that's amazing if you had that over a week. This is just one day. Just what this virus has caused between everything and the whole planet is just phenomenal. And there's good things and there's bad things, and it's just the way it is. But, that CO2 emissions in India, you do think, I'm not a religious person, I've always said that, but you think, is this really here? Is this really caused this? Is this put just a pause button on everything? And so we can look at the planet and, is the planet fighting back? That's why the news behind the news is there. I don't know if anybody's got any points on that, except for Grant, who's probably got something on it. But has anybody got any feelings of how this is? Because I want to be positive. I don't want to pick up on the negatives on that, what I've just read out. It was just a snapshot of the news.
I think it's great, when you look at all this, that we're learning from it. And I think my wife mentioned this. That's his your wife again.
Is that the birthday wife?
Yeah.
The key worker wife.
Not your working wife, your birthday wife.
We're learning from other countries. We're learning from the different stages of coronavirus. And we're trying to work out, yes, we're still trying to work out what's best practice, as those countries are. But the fact is, we're testing so many people. That must be the way forward for us. And we can learn from other countries like that where they're doing the tests. I mean, South Korea, as you say, identifying straight away where this the coronavirus outbreak had come from.
I mean, yes. I mean, it just shows. It's just a reminder, isn't it? That's how viral it is. But it is. But how have they done that? How have they found that straight away? It was these people have just been affected the past few days, and this is where we've got to get to get this type of thing, because they've shut that down. They've got those people who've got it now. Everybody's in isolation. Brilliant. Move on, because they haven't shut the country down.
Yeah, it's the app, isn't it? Then they've been. My understanding is they've been from day one tracking and understanding where people came into the country, where the infection started, and that's why their numbers have been so low.
Technology has helped. This is a very old virus. If you've watched the Netflix documentary, it's a very old virus. Grant still hasn't. It was reviewed. That Netflix documentary was reviewed yesterday on 5 Live, and the amount of information the guy said who reviewed said it's 26 minutes long, Grant.
I've seen half of it, mate. Twice. I've watched half of it twice.
You've watched 15 minutes of it. Brilliant. Twice. There's so much information in that 26 minutes. He said, I don't need to listen to anything else. So that you just please, Netflix documentary, watch the coronavirus one. But technology has really helped us, because it's, that app. I don't know how it's doing in the Isle of Wight. I've seen no reports on it yet. But we've sort of been dragging our feet on this. We just, because this is going to be the thing that's going to help us.
Is there a massive flaw with that app that Abby, my wife, whose birthday it isn't?
I love it when Grant does a joke. Go on, carry on, sorry, mate.
Is there a slight flaw with that app in that, from what that statistician told me on Saturday or Sunday, anybody over 75 is the one that's mostly at risk, and they're the people that haven't got smartphones.
Well, there is that, but it's actually yes, you're perfectly right there. They are the least smartphoned up portion of the population, but it's just about tracking. It's about tracking it, isn't it? And who's got it? And if it's somebody under 70 with a smartphone, hopefully, can just say, "Yeah, I've got it. I'm just going to lock myself away for a couple of weeks." Cool. That's what we know. They've got it. Don't send an old person to them. That's the key. Yeah, there is faults on it, but I just wish we lived in China, because obviously everybody's had to have the app there. And I didn't mean it like that, but they've been forced to have the app.
No, the signal's great, but obviously it's restricted information.
Of course. But yeah, I mean, everybody was forced to have the app there. So, and I talked about this weeks ago about how they did it, and that one app which is supplied by the government, they can take payments with it. It follows you everywhere, but they've been able to control it. So there is, it's really important to do it. And all the ones that are bitching about, oh, this app's going to watch what we're going to do and are also the ones that are bitching about, the country's not getting back on fast enough. Well, it's one thing or the other. We're not going to get a vaccine, so well, not soon anyway.
Well, Dominic Raab said we can go to the beach.
Well, supposedly you can. I actually was trying to find out your question that you raised. I think it was off air yesterday, wasn't it? Because it was about you travelling down south, wasn't it, Grant? To the south coast, and just for a day to pick something up, and you can. There's no issues. There is no issues at all.
I'm going tomorrow now, so
brilliant.
But it's not. It's London. I'm going to London tomorrow.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's all right.
So because it's as of tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, from Wednesday.
Even though there were traffic jams on the motorway yesterday, everybody just went through it.
Well, when I was walking today, I did because obviously we're very close to the M42 motorway here. You could hear it today, the motorway again, which is a bit sad in my eyes. But there we go. That
is the news of industry. The sound of industry, mate. That's the sound.
It is. No, it is.
The economy moving again.
It is, but it's just put all that pollutants back into the air.
I was going to say it's looking a bit overcast around today.
Yeah, it's right. Straight away, it's cloudy. That's the problem. You see, this is where Musk should have stepped up with his Teslas.
This is where we all need electric cars. That's the problem. The problem's not the moving. It's the.
Oh, you froze there, Grant. Sorry.
It's not the fact that everybody is going to work. It's the means by which they are choosing to travel. And it's the diesel and the petrol fumes that are causing the problem. If that was all, if we transition to electric soon as, that's going to sort that out, isn't it?
I think that's it's something else we can discuss another day. But it's like definitely manufacturers now need to get a chivvy on with the electricity side of things, and also make it affordable for everybody, because the problem we're going to get is the older cars are going to be around for a decade. The old diesels, once the ban comes in, and then we're still going to get it. It's going to take decades to get this sorted out. I want an electric car. I want an electric car.
Well, my wife has been up me to get an electric car, so I've just gone out and bought a milk float.
Brilliant.
I don't know what, I've had an electric car for 4 years.
Yeah. Yes, you have.
Yeah, I've got 2 electric cars, and one's a hybrid electric. Pardon?
Stop being greedy. You only need one.
I don't know what's stopping you having an electric car, Matt.
Well, no, because you've got the you want to talk about what you got, isn't it? Mitsubishi, is it Outlander, the FEV, isn't it? Because that's realistically the only one which is in my price bracket for the size it needs, because I have to move gear around. So I mean that's something which I have been looking at actually. I am looking at that car because I think diesels. I've had the day now, but everybody's got to move on, haven't they? They've got to move on. Just one bit of just no nothing to do with anything really. I've been watching technology-wise. I have watched a new show on Prime, which I really highly recommend. It's a bit of a light relief if anybody wants to watch it. It's called Upload.
I watched a bit of that the other day.
It is very good. It is very good, and it touches all over different technologies, set slightly in the future, and basically when people pass away, they're uploaded into the cloud, and they live in virtual reality. But if they can afford it, because they can afford it. Yeah,
if they can afford it. Yeah,
that's right. It's got a very moral story behind it. But anyway, watch it. Upload on Prime. It's only 10 episodes long, and they're only half an hour each. But that's still too long.
I'll let you into a secret. I think I watched 15 minutes of the first one.
That seems to be your time scale. 15 minutes. I binged it over a couple of nights actually, late at night, and it's really I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a bit silly, but it touches loads of different technology, which is excellent. Okay, anybody else got any points before we go?
Yeah, just want to say a big thank you to Grant with his bounce back motivation there, because we've now launched Manchester, Cardiff, along with Get Set meetings, online meetings, and London. So, we're not holding back here. And I urge any business right now to just go for it. Go for it.
That's absolutely awesome, that is, Mark, because yours was a business that relied on face-to-face, handshaking, socializing. That was your business. Yeah. And you've been creative. You've turned it around, and you've now got a bigger business as a result of your creativity, your entrepreneurial spirit, and you've proven that you've taken your skill set and turned it into something even better.
That's that is true. I'll second that, because I think you have turned it around there, Mark. And it was just to grab it by the horns, even though we all helped you. It was all Mark. I don't. If anybody saw this 7 weeks ago, Mark. Everybody sort of, how would Mark do that online? That is mainly the.
Do you know what? And there is a brilliant example. There's entrepreneurs out there who are complaining, saying they can't do anything. There's nothing they can do. Mark could have been one of those guys. He could have just thrown in the towel. And especially because of the technical challenges that you faced, both on a personal level.
The first 4 weeks, it was like a 1900s black and white movie.
There was a lot of user error going on, wasn't there?
Oh, definitely. I think we all had that a little bit at the start. But no, well done, Mark.
He's persevered, and look at him now.
I've just had a comment come through from somebody. I always say somebody. Darren down in Southwest. The Segway. We'll all have to go on these Segways, won't we? Because we keep getting so much promotion for him.
Isn't it from our sponsor, Darren?
He actually also works for BT. Oh, this is interesting. He's kept that quiet for the past few weeks, isn't he? When we've had problems. He says, I work for BT, and 81% of us can work from home. 81% of the business can work from home. So it's and that's a good stat for 100,000 people who work for BT. So that's good.
That's 1,000 people then.
Yeah, that's right. That's what he's saying. So that's excellent. So just one more thing before we get off. Don't forget, you can enter a competition. If I can just take that other banner down, that would be ace. Sorry, that doesn't look great because I'm doing that. There we go. Don't forget, you can enter our competition to win 1 month of advertising on Flashback Radio. Don't forget, just go to the Small Business Support Group page and like and share. That's all you have to do. And then we will draw the sharer from the end of the week live on the show on Friday. And you can win 1 month's worth of advertising on Flashback Radio. So go to our Facebook page and it'll do that. Darren, you should do that. You can get a Segway advertisement going on there. That's what you need.
Can we not join in then, Matt?
No, we've covered this before. You can't do that. It's in the terms and conditions or something on Sunday.
But like everything else, if you keep on asking, you might get a different answer.
Yeah, no. Don't forget, you're the MP, so you have to be the MP. And I just dress up. The thing is, I haven't got any other pictures of Maz. I need something of Maz. I did have that other one. I'll find that out for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we got one of Maz on a podium.
Yeah, but we got that other one of Maz when she looks like the Doctor Who assistant. Anyway, that's it, people. We will see you. We will see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care.
Cheers, guys.